Hello and welcome to another episode of the Business to Business podcast. This is Roy. Of course, our show is designed to bring a wide variety of guests on a set of diverse topics to, try to help small, medium entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, any business that can really, or business or manager, or somebody that can take away something from this conversation and help them through their daily activities. So without further ado, today we'll just jump right in. We're fortunate enough to have Cristal Balk. Cristal is an entrepreneur, marketing consultant, international speaker, podcaster, magazine publisher, and San Diego leader for World Women Conference and Awards. Cristal is a founder of Unstoppable Marketing Solutions, where she consults her clients on reaching their marketing goals. Her passion is to leave a legacy behind where more women will step out of their comfort zone and do what they are meant to do in this world. Cristal is the San Diego leader of the World Women Conference and Awards, where she helps women be innovative, educators, and to be change makers for the San Diego community. Cristal has been featured in San Diego Warrior, USA Today, KCBQ, The Answer, Telemundo, CNN, and many more. She is also an Amazon #1 bestseller for an international book. And I'm going to let her say the name. It's a little bit complex for me. And basically, I think it's a Spanish. The title is in Spanish, and it means from zero to success. So, without further ado, Cristal, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here. I think that we are all looking to go from that zero to success. So, looking forward to talking to you to see what tips that you can give us today.
Well, first off, thank you, Roy, for having me today. It's been a pleasure to get to know you a little bit more and a privilege to be on your podcast. And more importantly, being able to just, give knowledge and information to people out there that want to learn and want to adjust and grow, especially for 2021.
Right. Yeah. And before we get too far down the line, could you pronounce, I'm sorry, if you could pronounce the name of your book, that way people can go out there on Amazon and look that up, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's called the Cero al Éxito, which does mean from zero to success. We wrote it in Spanish first, there are 16 authors. So I'm one of them. I'm a co-author in that book. And we should have the book tours coming up soon too. So I'm very excited for that. And then the English version is coming out this year. So we're very excited about that as well. And I'll be able to give you one, Roy, so you can a signed version so you can have it with you.
Yeah, I'd certainly appreciate it. Thank you so much. And it's been interesting. I think the last 6 months, I have interviewed a lot more young women. So I think it's awesome. I think that it's great that you're, involved with this World Women Conference because, we need to encourage, young women coming out of college to jump in, follow their passion, and do, what they feel. I'm kind of in that age group that, when women came out of high school, it was more, having families, staying home, and there weren't a lot of options there. But even more important, I don't think there were a lot of role models and a lot of paths for success. So first off, just congratulations on, all the things that you've got going on. I can see you're very busy and in demand. So even, more appreciative of you taking time to stop by and talk with me today. So what sparked you? What got you into, the unstoppable marketing, but wanting to be be a leader in the San Diego area for the World Women's Conference? Kind of what sparked that in you?
Yeah, so the reason why I started marketing was I actually started in college. So I was one of those people that started their marketing business while they were in college. And so what happened was that I was trying to finish college. It took me a little bit longer than most people would take just because I was independent and on my own and I had to pay for my own bills. And we all know California is not the cheapest state.
Right.
So I just did my own thing and figure out, okay, what am I meant to do in this world, right? And so
Yeah.
I have a lot of family members in marketing, and so I started freelancing and working with them just because the regular jobs wouldn't give me the opportunity to change my schedule every semester. And so I started freelancing and started noticing a lot of different areas in the marketing world. There's a lot of different, when you say marketing, that's actually very general. Most people say, well, I do website development, or I do social media management, or like what I focus on as far as the consultation, I create marketing plans, social media plans, content plans, the overall strategy for your, business marketing. And the reason
Right.
why I started doing the planning was because people were coming to me, and even in the freelancing companies, and they didn't really know their overall strategy. So we all know that if you don't have your overall strategies, it's really hard to move forward in your business and in the marketing world. And you just kind of like, most people just do the tactics. So like, for example, just creating podcasts and creating social media links and stuff, but there's no anything going back to the main goal, the main mission, right? The main vision of why you're doing what
Right.
you're doing. What is the overall goal for that particular year?
Yeah.
And so that is where I decided to focus on, because I realized even in some of these larger companies, a lot of them do a great job of creating the marketing plans. But when you are a small business owner, you don't know what a marketing plan is. You don't know what that requires, what you
Right.
need out. And so that is where my main focus is in small business owners, medium size as well, like yourself, that creates that initial plan, for then you can execute and do a good job about the execution. And also I teach the importance of some of the areas in marketing that they need specifically for their business. Like, let's be realistic, each business is different. They're going to have their own
Yes.
clientele and different platforms. Not every platform is going to bring you the sales. Not every platform is going to bring you the right clientele. Technically,
Right.
if you focus, depending on how your packages are or your products, if you're selling to just the right people, you should be able to be making your six-figure goal, if that is your goal, within half of the year. Because if you're
Yeah.
just focusing your time and energy on the right people and the focus of that, then you would definitely make those numbers. And that's kind
Yep.
of where I focus more in realistically. Um, I was focusing a little bit last year, but more, to be honest, I'm going to touch more in it because our market has shifted completely. So what is happening is that
Exactly.
a lot of people are going to need marketing plans, like marketing strategies, because our whole world has turned into an online world where a lot of those people that used to be
Yeah.
in business for 30 plus years and just basically were on referral basis and were supporting their business, and they were doing fantastic. Those are the ones that are struggling the most, because they're like, well, I don't know anything about this technology and I don't even know where to start. And they're super overwhelmed, and they're already um, pretty discouraged by the whole situation that's happening as it is. So I
Right.
like to just come in and bring in some peace and some, that's something that would definitely work specifically for that client. I don't believe in templates. That's just me when it comes to
Yeah.
marketing plans, because every business and every person is completely different, and they need to be personalized
Yeah.
in the way that it's going to be effective for them and that would work for them, right? So a lot of times,
Right. Yeah.
give an example. A lot of people are like, well, my Facebook is big, but I just like Instagram. I just can't. Okay, start with something that you can manage first and then work your way up, right? And these are some of the
Right.
tips and ideas that I give to my clients, because there is a lot of information out there and it can be overwhelmed. So I just basically say, all right, all I do is I grab their ideas and I put it together, and I put it together in a tactile form that will work for them and it's workable for them and it's not going to overwhelm them, so that it's doable and to their pace. So that's how, in a way,
Yeah. And
it
that's an
works.
important. Yeah.
Go
No.
ahead.
And it's an important part that we've talked about before. That if you have a marketing person that comes to you and doesn't ask you any questions and just says, "Hey, I've got this great plan," uh, that's usually a red flag to run, because unless they are very into that space, and even if it's the same industry or same type of business, each business has a little bit different of a value add for their clients most of the time. So, I think that's great that you don't use a cookie cutter template, that you want to sit down, get to know their business, their audience, and then design an individual unique plan that's going to help them. Very important.
Oh, absolutely. And here's the thing. Even if one person is doing, let's say they're in the same industry and they're doing fantastic with it, doesn't necessarily mean that the next person is going to do great with
Yeah.
it, because each individual person has their own skills in for that they do very well. So that
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean just because you have a template that you're going to work exactly the same person. There's no way. And so
Right.
a lot of people use templates and it works for them, but personally, for a marketing plan and an overall strategy, I don't believe in the templates.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's important. Sometimes it's just very repetitive because I use it over and over with strategy, marketing, finance, with basically any topic. Is, we've got to have a roadmap of where we want to go or where we're going. And the most important part of that is to be very honest and thoughtful about where we are starting, because as I used examples before, if you want to go to Chicago and you just say, I'm going to jump on the highway and go east, but you're in New York and you really needed to go west, then your plan's not going to work out very well. So we need to know, excuse me, where we are, and then start from there. And like you said, we shouldn't be embarrassed or not or feel, I guess, underknowledged about where we are, because everybody has to start from zero. And I like that about the title of the book as well, Zero to Success, because at some point and in a lot of different areas, we're starting at zero. And so, just like us, if we don't write down our plan for the week, things can slip and we forget about what we wanted to put out on Thursday. So I think that's another thing is, having that roadmap, because the small businesses, entrepreneurs, even, some mid-sized businesses, everybody's so focused on the serving the customer, the sales part, bringing in the money, doing that sometimes that sitting down and thinking about what are we going to do for, a social media post or a blog post this week, or, well, really we should be weeks out, but what are we going to do 3 weeks from today? It's like, well, we don't have time for that right this moment. Let's just get through today and we'll worry about that tomorrow. Then tomorrow comes, and now all of a sudden, you're trying to sit down at a computer and write a 1,200 word blog, overnight. And like myself, get frustrated because like it doesn't flow, or I got all these changes where, for me to work right, I need to do something, let it kind of set and cook for a little while, and then, be able to change it and alter it over time. So I think that plans are so important in this area.
Oh, absolutely. And there's a plan for everything, right? So you just got to start. And honestly,
Right.
the overall strategy really makes, I've been noticing business owners really think about their actual business goals, their clientele base. So, what are we going to do? Okay, so what are we going to really focus on? Because when you're in the business and you are working in the business, you're not always thinking about the outside stuff and the overall
Yep.
stuff, because you don't have time, because you
Yep.
literally have other pressing matters to tend to. And so being able to just be an outsider coming in and just basically put it together, because at the end of the day, it's your plan, right? It's your
Yep.
idea, your business.
Yep.
All I do is just put it in together and put it like in a nice bow. And I work with you throughout the process. I don't just like, here's your plan, that's it. I mean, I do have,
Right. Right.
but I do like to keep and put it into agreement in there that I'm going to keep helping you and adjusting and showing you everything you need to know in order to be successful. Because we all know that a plan is great, but it's not going to work if it's not being executed.
Exactly. Yeah, and as a consultant, I've been to some of my repeat clients with awesome plans that I've given them for something, and you walk into the office and it's got dust on it sitting on somebody's shelf. So, it's important to, the plans are only as good as the execution. So we need to, not only have the plan, we need to execute it, but this year has taught us a lot too, is that we always need to be reevaluating things. Things change, market changes. But the other thing I kind of wanted to touch on for a minute that you said is to, you get the business owners or businessmen to think about things maybe outside of marketing. And a great example is I was at a round table one day with a couple of, it was like 3 or 4 owners, and I was meeting with a couple, and one was like, well, we need to emphasize price. We're price conscious. And the other one was like, well, no, this is our value add. And so sometimes there's not even a cohesive message within the company that, even though that's not the actual focus, it can be an awesome byproduct, is you can get everybody on the same page to say, what are we doing here? Are we trying to be the price leader, or are we trying to add, this value and command whatever price that we need to?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you have a partner of multiple people, they all have to be on the same page. And that's by knowing that, okay, what is going to be a plan for this year? And it's right. Every year, to be honest, you should be readjusting your plan. And even if, like, for example, I'm one of those, like, I don't know, last year I reached my goal, my overall goal, in the middle of the year already. It was crazy.
Wow,
I was
that's
crazy.
awesome.
And yeah, thank you. And there's just so much need out there, right? So I had to readjust my plan in the middle of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Just because
Yep.
you your goal and your plan doesn't need to necessarily say, okay, I'm done. No, you
Right.
always want to do better and shoot for the stars, right? And so
Yeah.
a lot of times in ownership, we get comfortable. Oh, we got exactly where we want, and then we get comfortable. With the moment we get comfortable is the moment we start losing, because our competition is not comfortable,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
People out there are
Yeah.
not. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that kind of leads us to the next point about measurement. And I'm more analytical. I've been very fortunate in my life to work in sales, marketing, and the more analytical side of things. That the other, it's we have to set out metrics, not only to see if we're having a success, but I think also when we do those plan reviews, we can look at our metrics to see, did we get a lot of, maybe Facebook wasn't our main focus. Maybe we were YouTubing or whatever, but all of a sudden it's like something blew up on Facebook and we had good luck with it. So we need to, I think, we need to be diligent about measurements. So we can go back and look and say, well, what caused this to either blow up, or what caused it to take a nosedive? And I'll just put one of my situations out there, is that I do some Google, some YouTube ads that they're the skip. I don't even know all the technical names, but it's like a skip ad you put in, and all of a sudden, last week I noticed that my account, it is going along, climbing, and then all of a sudden the bottom just fell out of it and it went to 0. And I thought, well, what happened? An ad quit? Does this message stale? There's a lot of things it could be. Unfortunately, it was just Google doing an audit of the account, for a few days, that kind of knocked the traffic down, is what they told me. So, we're back up and running and it's good. But the reality is, if that would have been something with messaging, then it's good to catch that, because if it happened today and I didn't do my review or didn't look at that till June, and it was something that needed fixing, then I'd be sitting here without, very much marketing on that platform for 3, 6, 4, 5 months, whatever.
Right. And it is important to measure. A lot of times people are just throwing things at platforms and websites, etc. And are wondering why the results are not happening.
Right.
Everything is a test run. In the marketing world, you're testing all the time. And
Right.
even if you go 500 posts, let's say, but 2 of them really, really blew up, then those 2 were worth it.
Yeah.
If you think from the numbers perspective of it, if you're measuring your platforms, the followings, and I got to be clear about this. Your followers, the number of following does not give you sales.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you're just getting whatever followers, but they're not your ideal client followers, then you're literally wasting your time.
Yeah.
And also that needs to be measured, right?
Yeah.
Like you have followers, yes, but from those followers, how much do you really build relationships? What sells is building those relationships,
Right.
connect people, and then
Yeah. And
going,
I usually talk about those as vanity likes. And, because I'll be honest, I got into a situation years ago where, a guy reached out to me and said, man, I can get you, a lot of followers on this, I think it was Facebook. And so what I started watching was he generated a lot of traffic, but it was all overseas, and what I call them is kind of like, like boiler rooms that, there's guys sitting around that they get paid, a few dollars a day just to like. And so, my analogy is always that, so after that little experiment, I took 3,000 likes over to the bank and tried to deposit it, and they didn't take it. The electric company doesn't take likes, and so I think that's such an important part that the managing expectations and talking to clients about likes need to at some point equal business. And if you're, again, that's why when somebody calls in, it's always good. Where did you hear about us at? Try to find out what is, where these leads are generating, because if you find out they're all coming from one platform or another, you can shift your resources or, tweak your messaging on the other one. But I think that's a valid point that have to be so careful about.
absolutely. And it's crazy because now a lot of bigger companies are like, well, the only way we're going to work with you is how many likes do you have? And I'm like, okay, well, I have 2,000 genuine people that genuinely follow me, and they're not just
Right.
a random person. And there's a lot of people that are doing it overseas, but what kind of value and benefit does that bring you into your business? Because other than you're just wasting money and throwing it out the window, and
Right.
where you're growing your awareness, but where is that taking you? Right. At the end of
Exactly.
the day. I think one of the things that if I can just touch real quick, Roy, is
Yeah,
a
sure.
lot of people right now are having issues with they're generating all this like likes and friendships and so forth, and they're like, well, why am I not selling? What is happening? Like why can't I convert it into a sale?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna say is if and it all comes back to pre-COVID. What were you doing pre-COVID, right? What kind of work were you already doing? Like if you were already not in like doing something relatable to what you're doing now, it's going to take you a little bit longer to be able to bring that awareness and that branding, and then you can eventually put it in a sale. So
Yeah.
your credibility and your transparency have to be clear, right? Even
Right.
say you've been in the business for 20 plus years, but now you are a business owner. Okay, well, that's still part of credibility because you've been in the industry for 20 plus years, but you just turned into an entrepreneur and you're just learning about the entrepreneurship world. But as far as the
Right.
actual job, you know it, right? And so don't knock yourself down because, well, I've been in corporate for 20 plus years, but, I'm just starting. Don't do that because at the end of the day, you had 20 plus years in corporate, but you know exactly what you're talking about. And it comes down to sales. If you're not comfortable and aligned with yourself, what makes you think that people are going to buy from you? You got to be
Exactly.
100%
Exactly.
in what you do
Yeah.
and deliver. Most importantly, deliver every
Yeah.
single time. Even if it takes you a little bit longer than what you originally said, then you'll notice, okay, well, this is what we're capable of. This is not what, we're just going to have to take a little bit longer. The worst thing that I've seen with people, because, remember, we're in such a digital form and it's so easy to do a click of form and contact other people and get their feedback. And the worst thing
Right.
that someone can do is not deliver, right? And then somebody else new coming in and getting in touch with them. What was your experience with this particular person or service, product, etc.? And they talk negative about it because you were not able to deliver what you said you were going to deliver. So it's always sometimes good to talk it down a little and over deliver rather than under deliver, right? And that goes with your
Right.
reputation. So if you have somebody that is already, unfortunately, Now, let's say you've been helping for like thousands and thousands of people and you have one bad apple, right? They just didn't like something about it. Then that's different. But when you're starting off, you cannot afford bad apples, right?
Right,
Literally
exactly.
can't, because you don't have that much of measurement, right? We go back to the measurement. We're not just measuring the social media platforms, we're measuring the clientele as well.
Yeah. And I think you a couple of things I picked up on that you were talking about is, of course, this is another extension of managing expectations, that if you are changing your direction a little bit, or even if you're maybe getting into a new platform, let's just say you haven't done YouTube and now you're getting into YouTube, it's that things take time. We are in an instantaneous world where people click and they want immediate results. But if we're talking about a $3, $4, $5, $10 item, I might send Cristal that money just on the fact that, if I lost $10 on her product, if she didn't deliver, it's not a big deal. But if you're asking me to send you $25,000 or $30,000 for, some kind of a consulting arrangement, I need to feel very comfortable with you, and you have to take time to build that relationship. So it's important to manage that expectation, but I think it leads into this, why are we not translating into sales, is that because we are in this instant gratification where we have, zero patience anymore, it seems. I'm one of those people. I'm the same way. If I click on something, I want, I want it to come up instantly, no delay. But there is, I use the agrarian example, is that, when you want to grow a plant, you have to put the seed in, and then you cultivate it, you water it, you weed it, you do all the taking care of it, loving it, nurturing it, and then you harvest it at some other point. And I feel that in the digital age, over the last 5 to 10 years, it's been a growing expectation that if I throw the seed out there, I'm going to get an immediate harvest.
Right. Right. And that's the problem. And that's why a lot of people sometimes will feel get into industry and they get frustrated and they're like, well, someone's son did it in less than a year. Well, you don't know what other help did so get, right? If you're starting off
Right.
brand new from scratch by yourself, it's going to take a little longer. But if someone's had some already money pockets into it to throw into marketing, to throw into all these different platforms, and absolutely, then they're going to be able to do it within the year. But a lot of times we just narrow it down, but you got to see all these different factors around it that come into it. So that's why I always question, okay, well, what did you do exactly? How did you do it? And like, believe me, right? 6 questions. By the time you do the 6th question, you will find out how that person did absolutely everything and
Right.
how they did it. So
Exactly.
sometimes at the surface doesn't necessarily mean that is everything that they did. That's just only one
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, and this has come up in the last 3 or 4 conversations. So again, sometimes I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but on the other hand, I want to get this out there for listeners to think about, is that social media is awesome for keeping up, for new ideas. It's great, and I love it. The drawback that I will say for it is that um, a lot of people aren't as vulnerable and transparent as you think. And so we post, or we tend to see the very best thing that happened to that person this day, or the very best thing in their business life, or maybe we haven't seen this business before and we see it and they're successful, but we don't think about for a minute that this guy's been working for 10 years to get to this point. Just because we found him today doesn't mean that he started yesterday and now he's a success. And so, we can't really set our expectations on what we see through social media, because, people don't post the bad and the ugly. And, like I always say, growth is not typically just a straight line up. I mean, it's usually up and down and crazy and all over the place. And it just takes, and this gets back to the marketing aspect too. Is that it takes consistency. You got to get up every day. You got to continue with the plan. You can't get discouraged. If you've got a good plan, it's thoughtful. You got to carry it out. And because what you'll see in a lot of things is 0 to 3 months, not much traffic, not much traction. And then, 4 or 5, that 6th month, all of a sudden things just take off. But if we'd given up at 3 months, we would have never found that success.
I mean, I'm going to ask you actually, I know you're asking me a question, but I want to ask you, Roy, a
Yeah.
question we're talking about, and you've been in the
Mhm.
business for such a long time. I mean, you've been in it for so many years, but how many times have you almost quit?
Oh, during the day? I mean, sometimes sometimes during the day is like 2 or 3 times. Like I'm ready to hang. Is it really worth it? Am I going to hang it up? No, not really. I've been fortunate enough to always do things that I like. But yeah, there's been. I will tell you, there's been a few times where the thought was really, what else is out there? I'm not sure that I really want to do this, but it's seeking out good counsel, people like yourself, to say, because sometimes even though you think you know what you're doing, you can be so close to it that you really don't. And so seeking out counsel of professionals like yourself, to have that outside look to say, man, if you would just tweak this thing just a tiny bit, and you know what, they're right, it works. We don't, sometimes we're so close to everything, we don't see the bigger picture.
Oh, absolutely. And, and you touched something, it's like, you're not alone, right? Just you're not alone. And a lot of us in entrepreneurship, it's not meant for everybody. It's tough industry.
Right.
And it's crazy.
Right.
Actually, my husband, he's in finance, and so he was listening to, obviously, just finance related stuff, and he was listening to a guy, and the guy was basically, I don't remember his name, but he was just basically, it's like, right now you just see that I have a lot of money and I'm doing great and doing that, but do you have any idea how many times I had to start from scratch? He starts from scratch 10 times on different projects until that one project was the
Right.
one. 10
Yep.
times.
Yep.
So if people are going to quit within the first year, you got to take in realization that people that you see that have been self-made and been doing stuff for many, many years, they've been through their ups and downs, and it has taken them years, literally
Right.
years, to get to where they are. And so I don't want anybody to feel discouraged. I just want you to know that if you have a passion and you know exactly what you're doing, you can continue it. There needs to be a plan, in
Yeah.
order
Yeah.
for it to grow in the right direction that you want it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing, I'm going to say this from an older point of view, is that at some point you realize that money does not always dictate that you're successful, because I know a lot of people that make a lot of money who are miserable. Health is bad, no family, and it's a lot. There's a lot going. I'm not saying that everybody's like that, but I think what I would like to see people get more comfortable is that when you get out of bed in the morning, you're excited to do what you're going to do. Not that we're not going to have hiccups during the day or the week or the month. There's going to be times where like, why am I doing this? But for the most part, if we're passionate about it, we love what we do, then we get up every morning excited to do it, and we're able to take on the challenges. And also, there's a guy named Ryan Holiday, that he's got a great coin that I've got and I carry in my pocket with me, and it's like, the obstacle is the way. And basically, we can't always find ways around obstacles. We have to hit them head on to solve them, because that is what I think that's what separates the businesses that become successful with the ones that don't. They hit the obstacle head on, solved the problem, and moved on. And then the kind of the second part of that whole thing is that if you're familiar with sand dunes, it's like life, business journey. It's like a sand dune. When you get to the top of the one dune that you're climbing, that's not the end of it. We don't reach the peak, and life is just at the top of the mountain from now on. It's you you know Sand dunes can be very deceiving if you've never been to one, but you climb up a peak and you think you're at the top, and then you look over and there's 12 more in front of you, and it's just a constant up and down. Now you keep getting higher and higher, but I think the point is that life is going to throw us struggles, and we have to adjust our mindset in order to take those obstacles on. Just
And
personal
I'm
observation.
really glad you talk about the mindset of it, because before you do anything, your mind has to be shifted in a direction of entrepreneurship. When I went from corporate entrepreneurship, I was like, oh Lord, Jesus Christ. Like I jumped into it and I was like, I everything I learned from school, everything that it was like in so many ways it was out the window and I had to
Right.
relearn absolutely everything. And so I'm grateful that I did. But in our book, actually from Zero to Success, we talk about you start off literally from the beginning to the end. So everything you need to do from the very beginning. So the mindset, right, the changing of the strategies, and then the marketing, the execution, and then the sales. Literally
Yeah.
from beginning to end. And even in the book, it says like you shouldn't read it all at once. You should read it little by little because you want to take in that information, apply it, and it's kind of like a mini worksheets involved of things that you can do yourself, kind of as far as the tactical side of it. Because it's great that you can read a book, right? Again, if you like with planning, it's great that you can plan, but if you can't execute and you can actually implement that, then it's not useful, right? And so a lot of
Right.
people unfortunately are buying all these courses, buying all these books, and that's great, learn and so forth. But if you're not executing as you go,
Right.
you're wasting your money because you're not going to get anywhere. And there is a lot of people out there that just do courses and books. And what it is that they're scared to launch. They're scared to make that one step.
Right.
And so let me tell you, all of you that are out there scared, I jumped into it with my two own feet. Literally, I left my job, and the next day I was like, okay, I'm going to start my marketing. Probably not the best way to do it, but I actually had financial help from my husband. And so that made it a little bit easier for me. And then for me
Right.
to work on it, right? So you do need some kind of support for sure, in order for you to continue, because it's like you said, up and downs all the way. And it's your
Yep.
mind has to be very, very strong. And you literally, like Roy say, if you're going to do something that you like, and you're going to wake up every single day and be happy for it, because the struggle will become easier. It will be worth
Yep.
it. And you will wake up with a purpose in life. You will not
Right.
feel the same ever again in your life. You will have a
Yep.
different mindset, a different understanding, a different perspective, and you will start attracting the right people in order for you to start growing. So a lot of it too is kind of like we tend to put ourselves in a, oh, I can't do that, I'm not meant to do that, and we keep putting ourselves a lot of excuses of what not to do. But if we turn that around and say, oh, I can do this and I can do that, and I can imagine how
Mhm.
your subconscious will work when you start saying,
Yep.
well, I believe in this, I can do this, I don't know this, but let me try it. If you change a negative into a positive, you're already
Yep.
changing your mindset.
Yeah, and I think you talk. There's so much there to unpack. That like people, surround yourself with good people. A good entrepreneur, good manager. It's not somebody that has all the answers. It's just somebody that knows how to find the answers. And because a lot of times I talk to people that have, I call it analysis paralysis. They want to get, well, I need to know more about this. I want to get this perfect. I need this, it's all these things that they feel like they have to line up before they step out there. And I'm not saying that you don't need to plan before you step out. Definitely make sure that you're doing the right thing and you do have a plan, but you will never be able to start something new if you have to wait till everything is perfect and the stars align up just right, because they're not going to. And it's just like with me and, podcasting. We'll take that. It's like, I didn't know much about it, bought some equipment and just started doing it. And hopefully I've evolved a little bit since the very beginning. But you know what? It's something I love to do. And so I'm happy with being able to talk to people like yourself, because I learned so much. I selfishly tell people that, this podcast is for me because I learn from all my guests and I just get to share it with others. But if I had waited till I was the perfect announcer, podcaster, host, and all that stuff, I'd still be sitting here not doing anything. So, one more point I want to kind of touch on that, when we're talking about success and money and things like that, is, people get into become entrepreneurs for different reasons. And one thing I will say is that we have to be careful, and I liken it to the dog and the tail. Is we need to be the dog and the business is the tail, where we wag the tail. And it's so easy to fall into that trap of letting the tail wag the dog. We let the business dictate our life, and I'm guilty. I have to say that sometimes I have to get the tap on the shoulder that time to slow down, time to get up and go do something, or spend some quality family time, things like that. I try to be mindful of it. But anyway, I will just say for younger entrepreneurs or people thinking about it, is just remember that it's a means to an end. It should not become your whole life.
And I'm glad you touched upon that, because I don't know if you ever heard the saying of people saying entrepreneurs are workaholics, right? And a lot of them, right, don't have strong relationships and divorces and so forth because the workaholics, right? So I 100% agree with you. I had to kind of put some adjustments myself. Every weekend is for my family and my husband and me, right? And so doing stuff together. We used to do like, it's crazy because I was posting. His birthday was not too long ago, and I was posting some stuff from back in the day. And I'm like, oh God, honey, I'm like, we used to travel all the time. We used to have fun all the time. I'm like, what happened? And he said, the business happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
Right.
So in taking consideration, he's supportive, but the reason why we're creating a business is to make a living, right? To make something that we like and also do a living, but at the same time, we don't want it to, be there for a whole entire life and just grinding, because technically these are the numbers, right? If you're working 16, 17 hours every single day, and you do the numbers of how much money you're bringing in, and you divide it up and you see how many you're getting an hour, it might not be like a regular job. You actually might be
right.
So it's important to work smarter, not always
and
harder.
it's a curse.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, and it becomes like an addiction almost, because you're so in it. I want to do X, Y, Z. The work will never end. And guilty myself right now. I'm training more people to, with my team. So right now I'm in the middle of training, so I have to work this weekend, right? But it's been such a long time that I work in the weekend, month. So I was like, oh Lord, I have to work this weekend. But absolutely, give yourself time.
Yeah, because it's a curse, and if you're lucky enough to find something that you love to do, it's not really work. And so that's kind of the rub with me, is like doing things, I don't really take it as work. It's fun, it's enjoyable. I like a challenge. I like trying to take that next step and figure out how can we tweak this around. So anyway, just it's kind of one of those messages, is that it can be fun and exciting and thrilled, but we still need to nurture relationships outside of our entrepreneurship as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap up. We've had a great conversation. I know we've gone a little longer than what we initially talked about, and I appreciate your patience and going on. So, but before we get away though, I want you did mention the book, but tell us a little bit more about the book. And then I want you to really stress this World Women's Conference. That way we can get more, not only just women in general, but we can get more young ladies involved in entrepreneurship.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will start with the book. So like I said, it's called From Zero to Success, and literally it's short. It's a 200-page book. It's very not long, super easy to read. There's even some pictures here and there. And as far as for my marketing section that I wrote, there's only one marketing section, which is mine. And I basically just talked about different strategies of how, more like plan tactics, like getting the importance of sometimes in media marketing, right? So a lot of times when businesses start, they want to get awareness, but they don't know from where do I go? And you're very knowledgeable and you already know what you're doing, but nobody knows who you are, right? In social media, we all know, has its up and downs. And so one of the things that I really also help people with in the sense, at least in the book, is, okay, well, your podcast. If you right now, it's like create your own podcast, valuable podcast, right, with your quality clientele,
Right.
potential clientele that you want to eventually maybe work with, right? People that you really enjoy talking to or are very informational and knowledgeable, etc. Magazines, articles. It's now it's different ways to get into articles, media press. Let's say with the World Women Conference Awards, we use the media press for our events and so forth, and so that's where I use it for. So there's different formats in media marketing that people can utilize to grow their awareness and their credibility without having to pay so much money out of pocket, and more organically in that sense, but they still get that credibility and that awareness per se. We understand that a lot of people are doing social media advertisements. Great if it works for you, but when you're starting off a business, you don't have that much income to spare. And if how are you going to do social media advertisement when you don't even have awareness, right?
Right.
You don't even have a branding. So that's where you start off. And so that's a little bit more of the initial aspect, because the book it is called From Zero from Success, and other authors have done a fantastic job. I mean, we're talking about 8 different countries. We have
Wow.
authors from 8 different countries all over the world, top
That
people
is cool.
in their industry, CEOs, founders, I mean, VPs of financial institutions, like global institutions and so forth. So this book is literally not just anyone that was, part of it. It was top people from all over the world. And the author, Angelica Benavides, is the author, did a fantastic job about bringing all of us together and sharing that knowledge. And we did it actually during COVID. We did the book during COVID, and it was formulated more like the restructuring format. So actually, which would be perfectly for right now if people want to buy it. And we should be having our English version coming out with the next couple months. So
Okay.
once that's out, if you'll be able to see it on my website at Unstoppable Marketing Solutions, and where to get it and all that great stuff if you are ever
Okay.
interested in it. We do have the Spanish version, obviously, because that's the first version that we got. And the reason why we started off with the Spanish version first was because we have a lot of Latinos in the US and around the world. It's like, I think, one of like the second biggest, um, you know, cultural people in the world. So we wanted to showcase that we're here to support you in any way that we can. And there's a lot of Mexican Americans, at least here in San Diego, and a lot of great people that could definitely benefit from it. So that's the reason why we started off with the Spanish version, and then we're converting into the English version again. But we also do the masterminds, and we do mini courses and things like that with everybody's information in there as well. So it's not just the
Okay.
book. And I can actually, Roy, send you the link, and so you can send it to your team and so forth. And we should, unfortunately, we were already supposed to do a couple things, but COVID has already kind of backed up a couple people in our group, so we want to give them a little bit more time. And so,
Okay. Yeah,
well,
I'd be glad to post all that in the show notes as well.
yeah, absolutely. And thank you. I think this is going to really benefit for
Yeah.
people that are either transitioning from corporate into entrepreneurship. I know a lot of people lost their jobs and they're like, okay, what do I do now? How do I start? Even if it's
Right.
entrepreneurship part time, starting off into, they get something else. Um, or people that are already within the 1 or 2 years of the business, but it's stuck and it's not growing. It's like literally not
Right.
growing. It's very static. And so those are the people that are going to really benefit the most from this book. But to be honest with you, there's from like mindset, strategy planning, sales, micro offers, um, financial literacy. There's like all kinds of like topics here that even though you may not be at the beginning stages, I think it's still good to refresh your memory in some of these areas, or to see what some people around the world are doing, right? The market is different, but maybe
Right.
some ideas can come into consideration into that. And then so that's for the book. And so for this, the World Women Conference Awards is it's a new organization that I've always wanted to join, a women's organization. And I love this organization because it's not just women, by the way. We actually have men as well.
Okay.
we like to
Okay.
learn from men as well, and but it is called for it is said women. So I know a lot of people can say, "Oh, it's just for women," right? But no, we have men and women. In my team, I have two men that are in my San Diego chapter, and always good to have that balance, right? Just to have a little bit of a
Right.
different perspective. But basically, the beauty of it is basically the mission of the whole organization is to filling the gap in your community. So there's a gap in your community that is not being filled. So you, as an organization, us, for example, the San Diego chapter, becomes the middleman to make that happen. So if you have the connections with politics, financial institutions, etc., and we need help, someone in the lower level, so we make that connection and we make sure that that gap is filled. So every chapter around the world, we have Europe, in the UK, we have Estonia. Oh, sorry, there's like a plane flying by. I'm sorry.
No, no, that's fine. No, we live by an Air Force base too, so I have those come over every now and then. So,
Yeah, I'm sorry. We
no,
have
you're good.
Estonia, we have Mexico, we have 6 chapters in the United States, all over the US. I mean, it's growing. And the beauty of it is that all of these women are super quality women, professional, and they genuinely care about their communities in order to make a difference. We also have a section for the youth. So in each
Okay, good.
chapter, there's a youth section. So mentorship of mentorship of the youth, and especially right now we're doing a lot of like online stuff. And one of their greatest youth programs right now is in Georgia. So in Atlanta, Georgia, they're doing a fantastic job. They even have a podcast for the young kids. They do a lot of activities on a weekly basis, a lot of stuff. It keeps them from the whole environment of them staying inside, not being able to be with your friends and so forth. The mental stage aspect of it keeps them
Right.
busy, and
Yeah.
they get to see their friends even though they're not like face to face and so forth. Especially with our youth right now, it's needing us more than ever in the mentorship. So the idea is to, you know, we're talking about high school and up, okay? The idea is to go into this schools, make clubs, be interactive. They go to college. So by the time they get out of college, they have already a network of people to contact
Right.
by
That's
the
so
time they
important.
start their career. And
Yeah.
the idea of it too is to mentor them into little leaderships.
Yeah.
They're gonna be leaders.
Yeah, that's awesome because, back when I was coming through high school, there was a limited, I knew a limited number of things that I might want to do with my life. And that's the great thing about the internet, the good thing about this conference is we're exposing these young people to a lot of ideas that are out there. And I think that's something that's been a positive through COVID is I have seen so many more young kids, some younger than high school, but they've got into some kind of business. Some of them, they're not for profits, just, helping others, which is awesome. But there's been some people that have come up with some really good products or good services and they're making money on it. And so, I think that's great to see.
Absolutely. And our
Well,
young men and women too. So
yeah,
girls
yeah,
and boys. We don't discriminate or in any way like that, and we want both genders to be there. But
yeah.
just to know that overall, that just basically we support women as well. So
Yeah. We'll be sure and put that link on our website. Again, Cristal, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. So I try to wrap up every episode with a question like, uh, what is something that you use? It could be an app, a program, a habit, or rituals. What is something that you do in your daily life, personal, professional, that you feel adds so much value that you just couldn't do without?
oh, absolutely. I think when we were in person, it was even easier for me to connect with people, and I'm a connector. I love talking to
Yeah.
people. I love learning about their stories and so forth. So one of the things that I do on a daily basis, I literally connect with one person a day and get in a Zoom call with them every single
Oh,
day.
okay.
And even though it's 15 minutes, I get to have that personal interaction and personal touch, and then we stay in contact more. And it's not about the selling aspect, it's about the connecting aspect of it, right? It's like, got to
Right.
learn about what does the person need at that moment? Well, how can I help them? Maybe have a resource, maybe have a contact that they can really benefit from,
Right.
right? And because you got to think about it this way. Okay, maybe that person was not your sell, right? There was nothing you had in reality that you can sell them or give them as a product,
Right.
but you help them with that one resource. And then when they have a friend, they're like, hey, I really need help with some marketing and marketing plan. I'm just like all over the place. You know what? I know somebody. I know
Yep.
Crystal. She's
Yep.
amazing. She'll take care of
Yep.
you. She's genuine, whatever it is. And then there goes your referral. So, even though you are talking to people that are potentially being your clientele, at the end of the day, yes, you're talking to people that are going to be interested, but more importantly, it's going to be how you can help them at that moment, how you can resolve the
Yep.
problem.
Yep.
That's how they're going to determine whether you're a quality person to work with or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important in networking is, we can't always just want to network with the person that we think we're going to get the next sell. I think that we have to put ourselves out there and we have to help people without any expectations. And I guarantee you that comes back to us tenfold because, like you said, you build that relationship, even if it's not your customer, they know people and then they will eventually refer you. So
Well,
great advice. That's a,
especially now because
yeah,
the market has shifted. Maybe back in the day you were able to make those calls, make sales, etc. Now it's about there's a lot of people suffering in the world. There's a lot
yeah,
of people struggling. Now it's about how can you help them with that struggle, right?
right,
And it's
right.
just tweeting it just a tad.
Yeah. All right. Well, Crystal, so tell people who is your client? What can you do for them? And then, of course, how can they reach out and get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, like I said, my clients are small business owners, medium business owners, and help them with creating a strategy plan overall and in any other plans depending on where they are and the level of their business. It's so important to get people off the floor. Once you get off the floor, it becomes a little bit easier to manage everything. But
Right.
that off the floor, the initial planning aspect is beyond important. And they're more than happy to reach me either at unstoppablemarketingsolutions.com, which is my website, and I have a 15-minute free consultation. And I just initially talk to people. Sometimes I just basically like solve the problem right there. If I feel like we need more time and stuff, then that's going to be like at a cost. But if I can solve your issue at those 15 minutes, then go ahead and set an appointment with me and speak with me because I am at the moment where I do want to help people, and I am going to be helping people already as it is. But I understand the pressure and the frustration that sometimes we're so frustrating we can't even see beyond that. So just bringing in those
Exactly.
15 minutes, clarity, straight to the point, telling me, okay, I generally don't even know where to start, then I guide you through it. If it's going to be more than 15 minutes, I'm like, hey, we're going to have to set another, appointment and stuff for it. But being just basically unstuck you in the area that you are so you can keep moving forward and have that clarity, right? Or
Yeah.
you can email me if you need anything at customers out at unstoppablemarketingsolutions.com. I have all my social media links. If you want to connect with me, I'm Cristal Balk. Go ahead and find me.
Okay. Awesome, Crystal. Yeah, y'all reach out to Crystal, see how she can help you. I know that she'll be able to make a difference in your marketing efforts. Also, take a look for both men, women, and the youth. Take a look at the World Women Conference and Awards, and then be on the lookout. If you read Spanish, it's already out there and available. If you're an English speaker like myself, I'm waiting till the Zero to Success comes out in the English version, and we'll be looking for that. Of course, I will put all those things up in the show notes as well. So think that's going to do it for this episode. We certainly appreciate you being a listener. Of course, you can find us on all the major platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and a lot more. If you use platform that we're not on, please reach out. I'll be glad to try to get us added to that. So we are on all the traditional social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and a copy of this video version of this interview will go up on YouTube when the episode goes live as well. So until next time, take care of yourself and take care of those around you. Thank you.